Okay, besides the word problem number 20, you noticed that we had done earlier two sets of three, right? We had 3 slides on the first video, 3 slides on the second video. And what was the first video? The first video was that the numbers were the same, either positive, positive, negative, negative. And when we listed our factors, we um, added those together, okay? Versus when the number was negative at the end, in which case we had one positive, one negative, right? And then we had to list it out twice, either as like 1 times negative, whatever the number was, or -1 times whatever. Hope you follow that. But on these, this is the third set of these. And why is it different than the other ones? Because we need to, notice on top it says factor each expression completely. That's a little keyword there. Completely, meaning there's something further that we can factor out here. And in fact, let's look at it. This number, and this number are all multiples of what? What's the biggest thing you see that you can divide them by? Yes, you can divide them by 2, but there's something bigger. Right, 4. So we're going to pull a 4 out of here. 4 times, and then we're going to divide this polynomial every term by 4. What is 12p squared divided by 4? 3p squared. What is 20p divided by 4? 5p. And what is -8 divided by 4? -2. Okay, so we've already got something factored out, that 4, and we're going to have to write that every single time. Okay, but we've simplified it down. Instead of having to multiply 12 times -8 and see what goes together for the 20, which will actually work out, and it won't work out because this 4 will mess everything up. You don't know how it's going to break down inside your parentheses. Try it if you don't believe me, and you'll see that it's just hard to do. Okay, so we pull the 4 out first. Now we need to break down this whole thing further into 4 times some set of parentheses times some set of parentheses. Okay, so what's this going to look like? Okay, well, let's first just write the two numbers here, 3 and -2, that are the a and c values. We're going to multiply those together. 3 times -2 is -6. Okay, what we're trying to do is list the factors of that out in such a way that we will get this middle term here in 5, right, in front of the p. So it could be 1 times -6, or -1 times +6. Or it could be 2 times -3, or -2 times +3. Now remember, we're adding them together. Which two add together to be a +5? That's these two. Yeah? So how do we write it then? We write it as, remember the first term stays what it is, 3p squared. And that 5p turns into a -1p, negative p, and 6p. And then the last term stays the same. Yeah? Now, I'll just write it on another line. We're going to say 4 times, and then this is going to be 3p squared minus p, and we're going to group those two together. And then we're going to group these two together. Positive 6p minus 2. Okay? So let's leave this 4 out for a second. Let's leave the 4 for a second and just say, how are we going to break this down? Okay, well, what can we factor out? We've already got this 4 sitting over there. We'll add it later. In fact, I'll write it down here so we don't forget it. But right now, we've got to say, what can we factor out of 3p squared minus p? Well, these both can share a p. So we're going to pull a p out of there. And if we divide that by p, we get 3p minus 1. Okay. What can we factor out of 6p minus 2? We can factor a 2 out, a positive 2. And then what do we get left over? 6p divided by 2 is 3p. And -2 divided by 2 is -1. Great. Because we got 3p minus 1 inside of both of them. So Then we've got as our final answer, we've got 4 times, and we're going to write the two things we factored out, p and positive 2. That becomes our first parentheses. And then our next parentheses is what was left inside each time, 3p minus 1. Notice that 4 that we factored out. Okay, what I really could have done is I could have said this is the 4 sitting there, and maybe I can write it like that, even though hopefully that wouldn't confuse things for you. But we pulled the 4 out, and then we had to deal with what was inside there to break that apart. Now, our final answer is just this. Okay? So if you want to check this, what I suggest you do is you first FOIL the two binomials, and when you get that resulting trinomial, multiply everything by 4. So you could essentially say, I don't think I have enough room for it, but I'll do it over here on the side. I'll say 4 times, and what do you get when you multiply the trinomial together? Well, we get first p times 3p, 3p squared. Outer, p times negative 1, negative p. Inner, 2 times 3p, 6p. And last, 2 times negative 1, negative 2. And then, of course, we're going to combine like terms inside. So we've got still the 4 outside times, and by the way, I'm going to write proof up here just to get proof. Okay, 3p squared. That negative p and the positive 6p to go together to be a 5p, and then minus 2. And now, when we distribute that 4 back through to everything, we get 4 times 3p squared is 12p squared. 4 times 5p is 20p. And 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And what you'll notice is that what we got there as a result is what we were originally given. And that's our final answer. So we'll box it. And as always, you should put it back together. You should take the two binomial terms, x minus 4 and 6x plus 1, and FOIL them together, combine like terms, to get a final trinomial here that you will then multiply every term by 2, this number that's out front. And if you did it all right, you will get back to your original trinomial up here at the top that I'm about to circle in pink, 12x squared minus 46x minus 8. Hope that made sense.